May 17th, 2023, and today's video is for my virtual attendees of the In Color class, showcasing all the beautiful new In Colors that were just introduced a few weeks ago. So let's get to it. What you're going to want to have for some basic supplies is some mini glue dots, some dimensionals. You'll need a pair of scissors. I like to use the Take-A-Pick tool, that's optional. Liquid glue or whatever your favorite adhesive is, and I like to use Scotch tape. So anyway, let me set those to the side really quickly, and then we'll talk about the stamp sets that I used. And primarily what you're going to need is sentiments. So I used the Something Fancy. These are in the annual catalog. They were actually in the mini catalog last spring. And then this is a new set. It's called Handmade Hugs. And then I used the Sentimental Park, a few of the sentiments. And I used a sentiment in one of the circles for the circle sayings. And then I used one stamp out of this lovely You. Let's cheer you up. So you will need mostly sentiments. I do have a couple of images that you may not have, so you'll want to substitute something there. The little monkey, we're going to go ahead and do the monkey, and then I use a sentiment off that. If you don't have the little monkey stamp set, I think this will make a pretty good fall card. So if you have some leaves, some leaf punch, something like that, and I did something a little different with your kits this month to help you with that. So let me set those to the side. One of the things that you're going to find in your kit is a little thank you present from me. This is a set of labels for your catalog. So they're going to come like that on a sheet. And then let me show you. Here's my catalog. So they are to help you find things. And so they're all divided up by suites. And just to help you find things in the catalog. And this year there's something different. They did some blank ones. So products that maybe you look at a lot, like I labeled the punches, the DSP, the ribbon, and the gems, because those are the things that I seem to be always looking up. So whatever kind of you need to look at, go ahead and label those up for yourself. Okay, let's get started. All right, so this first card that we're going to do is a screen card, and it is something that I've wanted to do for quite some time and then just never took the time to figure it out. It opens like this, sets up like this, like a little screen that you might have in your house to divide a room, and then I put the sentiment and an area for you to sign the card on the back. Now, I used the Countryside and DSP from the annual catalog. Your pattern may be a little bit different. I used one pack for the whole class, so you might actually have a little different of a pattern than what I have showing here. And also, this is round 2 for me to try to shoot this video. I don't know what happened. I hope this works, but it quit right in the middle of my video earlier this morning, so I had to start all over again. I don't have another sample packet, and I don't really have time to make another one for the 2 cards that I demo, so we're going to have to wing it a little bit. But I want to show you how to make that fold first. So your kit, when you get it, is going to look like this. And just be real careful when you open it up, because there are a lot of bits and pieces. There's some punch outs, there's a couple of gems, another punch out, and then you've got all these layers of DSP. So this is what you're going to get. But I want to show you how to make the screen. I think that is important. Okay, let's set that over here. All right, so you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 10.5. So you're going to get a piece of cardstock 5.5 by 10.5. Then you're going to score it on one end at 3.5, flip it, and score it again at the other end at 3.5. And then it looks like this. Oops, grab that real quick. Okay, then once you have that done, what you're going to do is take a ruler and mark it with a pencil or a pen or something. got 1 3/4. So you can use your, if you have a grid sheet, you can use that. Let's see, I got to get this turned around right. Is that how we go? No. There we go. That's how we go. Yeah. All right. So 1 3/4. Oops. And we're not trying to be Hallmark, so we're going to do ish. 1 3/4 ish. And you want to go up about 2-ish inches. Okay. All right. So you've got that marked then on your cardstock. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take, and this is the Label Me Lovely punch. This is not a current punch. It retired with the last catalog. You're going to slide it in, and you're going to punch it. You're going to line that little pencil mark up with the top of the punch, and then you're going to punch it. You're taking kind of about a half bite out. Okay, I didn't quite get the pencil mark out, but that's okay. I'll go erase it. Now, you're going to use that for the guide for the rest of the screen. So you open your card up, and then you just line it back up with the previous punch. And if you don't have this punch, just use something else that would kind of make some legs. There are other punches that I was looking at that I think would work, and I also think there's some dies that look like labels that would work too. Might be a little more tricky to line the dies up, but I think it can be done. Okay, so there we go. So that's what it looks like, okay? And it stands like that. Isn't that cool? All right, we don't need these. Throw them over here. Now I'm going to have to do a little Vanna thing on you now because I don't have a complete kit because of the video freezing up on me this morning. So if you open your card up like this, then you'll know where to glue your panels. And by the way, the panels, the cardstock is 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and DSP is 3 by 4. So again, it is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then the DSP is 3 by 4. So if you want to make more of these, and you need 3 panels and 3 sheets of DSP. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to cover the panels. So you'll glue the DSP to the cardstock, DSP to the cardstock, DSP to the cardstock. All right, then you have it all assembled and glued. You can close it up. You assemble your white punch out and you layer that with the blue one. And I apologize, but I don't have another kit, so I think you can figure this out though. And then you've got 2 embellishments that you put up at the top and up at the bottom. I did layer this up with a dimensional. And then on the back, you've got the 2, so stamp whatever sentiment you want here, or you could just sign your name in there too. Glue that down and then pop that up with the dimensional. And then you just got a really lovely card to mail out. Here's another one, just a different pattern. So your paper might be a little different than mine. Isn't that cute? And it looks like such a complicated card. So I got the idea from Laura Bucher. She is a demonstrator in Canada, and she posted a YouTube on this a few weeks ago, and I thought, I just love that card, and we have never done that in the studio before, so we're going to do that. And it's such an easy card to make, too. All right, let me get these things all out of here to put somebody's kit back together. I stole that from one of you guys. I have to be checking that and make sure that's all got back intact. Sorry about that. It's been kind of a crazy prep for this particular class. My orders are taking longer to get here, and I had some of the supplies, but not all of them. So that didn't come in until Saturday night. And then Sunday was Mother's Day, and I decided I should have the day off. And so I've kind of been running behind ever since. So, okay, so that is the first card. All right, let's talk about the next one. And this is where I froze up last time, so hopefully that won't happen again. But I did assemble this whole card, and then my video froze up. So when you open up this one, you will find, so this is what the finished card looks like, but I have a feeling most of you do not have this little monkey stamp set. So I'm going to give you some other ideas here. So when you pull this out, you'll find that you've got your card base, and I already pre-embossed it for you. And then you've got this strip that goes here. And I stamped this with some of the stamps from the Little Monkey, the leaf, the banana leaf, and but if you don't have that, I think this would be a great fall card. So just get out some other alternate leaves or some flowers and just randomly stamp with your copper clay and then glue that down. Now, instead of punching the monkey out, because he doesn't look like a monkey unless you stamp him, I already tried this, I just gave you a piece of the copper clay cardstock. If you do have the little monkey, then you can stamp him and you can punch him. But if you don't, use one of your dies or one of your other punches or one of your other stamps and fussy cut it and get your image that way. And then whatever you want down here for your sentiment. And then again, if you do have the little monkey, there's a little piece of the wild wheat for the banana. But if you don't, you can use that for something else. And then I just threw a couple more little punch outs just to give you something. If you don't have anything that you feel, you could put your cinnamon over here and put this here. So I just tried to give you some options with this one. Normally the kits, when I punch something out, it works out fine to send it to you plain. But this one, honestly, when I started punching it, and I even tried to embellish it with some marker marks and try to make a face, and I'm not that artistic. It did not turn out, so I thought, well, I'm just going to give you guys some options instead. So okay, so let me put that away. All right, so the next one is real easy to assemble. It is an in color bookmark. So this is a bonus project, so I just wanted you to have a bookmark for your catalog and then show you a couple of the coordinating products that go with your brand new in color stamp pads. So we've got some in color dots, and then we've got the boho blue coordinating ribbon that goes with your new pads. So the one thing I wanted to tell you is I'm still working on class for June, and it actually isn't going to be till the very, very end of June or early July. I'm trying to do a copy and card thing, and so I hope to have that information out tomorrow. But that class will include the in color dots, and then it will also include a ribbon sampler. So you will get 10 yards of ribbon, 2 yards of each of the new 5 in color. So that will be a nice little add-on that you'll be able to use with your new stamp pads. Okay, so this one is real easy. Just go ahead and glue these down like you can see I've done here. And then the dots are self-adhesive, so just stick those on there. And then just be real careful when you tie the ribbon around. So I just pulled that through and then I tied it on with the silver twine. Don't pull too hard at the top because this is paper and you will ruin the top of your bookmark if you pull too hard and break it. All right, now this next one is our lovely new wild wheat. And I think this is going to be a really great fall card too, or not fall card, fall color. And the video froze just before I got to this, so I'm actually going to be able to assemble this one for you. Yay! All right, so let me get my little packet out. And there's not a lot in here. You've got a piece of ribbon. You've got a couple of punch outs. And I used the new Circle Sayings bundle on this one, and it's got the coordinating punch, and the circle punch is 2 3/8. We haven't had one that size before. So let me grab my stamps real quick. So you're going to grab your wild wheat, and then you can put whatever sentiment you want. Again, I use the Circle Sayings, but if you don't have that, use something else. Your new pads are probably going to be stiff. You can see this one is really stiff right now. I'm going to have to work it in. So what I will normally do with my pads is I will open them like 5 or 6 times. That kind of helps loosen them. They're also very juicy. Oops, I have to turn that one over. Oh, I'm just kind of having a day. All right, well, that doesn't look very good, does it? All right, I'll have to make a new one of those. Give me 1 second here. So this is the new 2 3/8 circle punch. And it layers really nice with the stylish dies and some of our other circle punches. All right, let's try this again. Let's see. And try not to pick up an edge. Yeah, there we go. You ever have days that it's just like, okay, maybe I should go back to bed and have a do-over. Oh, wait, I can't do that. I don't have time to do that today. I always need thank you cards, so I'm going to stamp this one with a thank you. All right, now, kind of interesting on the ribbon, what I did here was I just made a soft knot on each end. And then the Wild Wheat card base is embossed with the Fern embossing folder. I love all the texture on that one. Okay, so this you just kind of put in the middle of the card. I'm going to use a piece of tape to kind of anchor it down. And then these two get glued together. And then I used a dimensional on either end to pop it up. So it finishes off pretty easily. And this seems to stay down okay, but if you want to anchor it down with some glue dots, you can. And if you don't like the fringe, just take your scissors and trim the fringe off. All right, so that is our finished card. Pretty easy. Okay, next up, is Moody Mauve. All right, let me get these things out. Okay, this is what the kit looks like. It's actually a pretty easy one to put together too, so you just really need a sentiment. And you can see that I made a mess on there. My pads are super inky, so my suggestion is that you're really careful when you open them because they are inky. We want them to be inky when they're new, right? You don't want them to be dried up. But my fingers keep getting in them and I've got to be careful. I think this makes just a really gorgeous sympathy card. So I'm going to make a second sympathy card. So, oops, I'm just having a day today, aren't I? You guys ever have days like that? Would you like to know what folder this is? And also you might find that you have some little pieces that need to get punched out. I see one right there. I did use the little die brush and get most of them out, but you will probably find a few little bits and pieces that you need to clean up. Okay, this is the die is from the Two-Tone Flora. And you know, with the Stampin' and Emboss and Cut machine, I usually don't have to do multiple passes, but this one I found if you ran it about 3 times, there was less to pull out. It kind of fell out. So if you do have this one at home and you make a card, I would recommend running this at least 2 or 3 times through your machine. And if you have the old Big Shot, definitely, because that one doesn't cut quite as well. And also if you run it through just a little bit on the diagonal instead of straight in, that helps a little bit too. And then the other dies that are the labels, those are from the Something Fancy die family, which goes with that stamp set, Something Fancy. That was a bundle in the last mini catalog. Okay, let's put this together. Okay, and there's a piece of vellum that goes underneath that label. It just kind of softened it up. This particular card was, I got the inspiration from my friend Mary Nabe. She's also a demonstrator, and she did something very similar. It was gorgeous, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I'm going to do that in a class. Yeah, I just think the Moody Mauve is just gorgeous. Fortunately, I've been burning through the sympathy cards this year too, so those and thank you cards I've been running out of a lot. So you can either use glue dots or the fine tip glue pen, or I like using the liquid glue. I think most of you guys know that. You just have to be careful you don't squeeze too hard and don't get it right to the edge because it will run over. All right, let's see here. This gets on top of the Moody Mauve piece. And then so glue on the back of this and glue it to the card base. All right, and then I put this on some dimensionals. Pop it up a little bit. So it's a simple card, but it's just really gorgeous with the die and the colors. Just stunning. All right, so there's the finished card, ladies. Okay, last but not least is Pebbled Path. And this just, to me, has a beachy vibe. I really like it. So it's kind of a grayish, kind of a brownish color. It's different. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And this is another one that I gave you some options on. Let's pull all the pieces out. Should be a pearl in here. Where's my pearl? Did I pull that out? All right, well, somewhere around here there's a pearl. If I don't find it, I'll find a different one. All right, so you've got a liner for the inside. It's a little bit dark, so I gave you just a regular piece of printer paper for a liner. So let's go ahead and get that glued down to the inside. All right, and then on the outside, I love this Pebbled Path with Real Red. I think it's really a good color combo, so we'll glue the Real Red layer down. And then you have a basic white piece that has been embossed. So I'll go ahead and lay that on top of that. Okay, now I've got a little circle and then a smaller circle. Okay, so I left you a piece of white cardstock in here. Okay, this, let me get the stamp set. This is a die cut from the Seaside Bay bundle, and it's an oyster with a pearl in it. And I don't know how many of you have it. And when I did die cut it, it doesn't look good unless it's stamped. So that's why I left you this long piece of paper. If you do not have the Seaside Bay, a really nice option would be to use the Friends Are Like Seashells and just die cut, stamp and just die cut one of the seashells. If you don't have this, look through your paper pumpkin stamps because there's been shells in there too, and just fussy cut. Or look through your other stamps and see if you can find anything. Anything kind of beachy would be nice, but you can also put a flower or something else in there. Okay, all right. Here, oh, yay, here's my pearl. Oh, gosh. All right, so now we're going to stamp our little sentiment. And then if you don't even have something that you want to put on there, you could just have the sentiment and not even worry about a second image. really like this little sentiment from that stamp set, By the Bay. You are a pearl, rare and precious. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I'm going to try to have my June class stuff out by tomorrow. And then I want you to know that I'm not doing any classes after the June class until towards the end of September. I'm actually going to take most of July and all of August off from classes. I'll still be here. I'm still going to be a demonstrator. If you need any products, let me know. I'll probably do some videos. I'll be doing my blog posts, all of that stuff. But I'm just not going to do any classes for this summer. What I found over the years is that people are traveling and doing other things during the summer, so attendance really drops off. And then I want to do some traveling. We've got several different trips on our plans for the summer, and it's just really hard to try to balance designing cards, getting them all, the kits all set up, all of that stuff, and travel and stuff. So I think we should all be outside and enjoying summer, myself included. So that's the plan. So we'll have something towards the end of June, might run into the 1st of July, and then nothing again until the end of September. And September, I'm planning for another Shelley's Cards class, like I did last year, some sort of a fundraiser in my sister's memory. So I didn't put another image on there. So you can do that same thing if you want, or you can do a shell or whatever you have if you have By the Bay. But I think it looks fine without that. So that gives you a couple options. All right, so that is it on the projects. I apologize about the first couple of demos. It is what it is. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Let me talk to you about your stamp pads real quickly. So this class did come with all of the in color stamp pads. And I want to point out that on the back you have labels. And this year we have 2 in English, a blank, and then I believe German and French. I didn't look those up, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So I pulled off the 2 in English and the plain one. And you know, these are your pads, so do what works for you. But I like to have 1 label on the front and 1 label on the back. And then I like to have that blank one on the inside. Now, I saw another demonstrator, and I thought this was a really great idea. So when I get the reinkers, I'm actually going to wrap this around the outside of the reinker bottle. I haven't ordered my reinkers yet. That's going to go on my next order. But, you know, sometimes it's hard to read those reinker colors, and so this would be really cool. So I'm going to go through and do that. I thought that was a really great tip. So your stamp pads, at this time of the year, I also like to talk to you just a little bit about the care of them. So they like to live like people do. They don't like to be too hot, they don't like to be too cold, and they don't like to be laying around in the sun. So if you take really good care of them, they'll last for a really long time. And so I recommend that you keep them at, you know, whatever temperature you're living at. Don't store them in your hot garage or in your freezer or anything crazy like that. They are going to be stiff when you first get them, so I kind of recommend opening and closing them several times. That kind of loosens them up, and then they start sliding a little bit better. They are inky, as you saw on the one image, so don't push down so hard on them or you'll pick up edges. And they should always be stored this way, not this way. So on your shelf, make them stored upright, because the pad is turning itself upside down, so that brings the ink to the top. And I do recommend that you purchase your reinkers for your pads. If you take good care of your pads and you have a reinker, that way they'll last for a really long time. So if you have any questions about your kit or the projects or anything, please do reach out and let me know. Thank you again for attending class this month. I truly appreciate you. And have a really great day and a good time with your kit. And take good care, and we'll see you next time.